So we are going to start at the bottom with our eggs and then go all the way up through our option cards. We are doing a yellow-purple hybrid combo, a little untraditional. So the first card we've got is the DIgimon. This is one of the 5 eggs. The inherited here is my turn. While there are 10 or more cards in your trash, this Digimon gains retaliation. So when this Digimon is deleted after losing a battle, you delete the Digimon it was battling. We are essentially trying to use this to take our little tiny boys and send them into something big and kill them and us, but it is a cheap board clear. So we got that, and to round out the rest of our eggs, we got the Demi-Meramon. I have the 2 Digifest ones, but they do the same thing. On deletion, trigger draw 1, then trash 1 card from your hand. Pretty straightforward. It's another one that if they get destroyed or we want to sacrifice them, we're just getting some extra draws, which draw power is always fantastic. Next up is some of the most important ones. Our 2 of our rookies here are the Gazimon. So we get a free Digivolution since they are 0. And then all turns, my opponent cannot gain memory except with tamer effects. That is massive for memory control and preventing the other player from being able to do what they want. To round out our purple, for the most part, we run 2 Elecmon. We have on deletion, delete one of your opponent's level 3 Digimon. It helps a lot with the board control. So if we run into, especially if we have the Zalmon, idea is you run this with the Zalmon into like a big monster Digimon, kill that, then you also get a clear on like a Pokemon. And yo, Monster, I appreciate that. I need another mat, actually. I want to run a couple different ones, but yeah, I love the Agumon line. Next up, we got Pokemon. This format, it is a staple. So on play, you reveal the top 5 cards of your deck, and you add 1 card with hybrid or 10 warriors, which this deck is full of, or in its traits, and 1 tamer among them in your hand. That this deck has even more. You place the remaining cards at the bottom of your deck in any order. And then your turn, once per turn, when one of your tamers digivolves, gain 2 memory. The tamer digivolutions are for 2, so having 1 Boko, you get it for free. Multiple Bokos, you actually gain memory and resources to digivolve, which is always great. Next is going to be the most important stuff. The Zephyrmon's here, one of my favorite cards in the game. So this does 2 things, or a couple things actually. So this is a Digivolve from your hand onto one of your yellow tamers, as if the yellow tamer is a level 3 Digimon for memory cost of 2. So like we mentioned with Pokemon, essentially pairing it with Boko, you can Digivolve the tamer for free. When Digivolving, if a card with hybrid in its traits or Zoe Orimoto is in this Digimon's Digivolution cards, all of your security Digimon get plus 3000 DP until the end of your opponent's next turn. So essentially the idea is either dropping these on top of a Zoe, gaining a bunch of extra attack points for my security, or dropping this on a side evolution for a 1 cost on top of another level 4 to get then that extra DP as well. Pretty straightforward. Kazemon is next, a little bit more straightforward. It's just digivolving on top of a tamer for a play cost of 2. That's really all it does, but it is a hybrid, so it gets picked up with the Pokemon. Jet Sylphie, the most important, easily the most important Digimon in this deck. So if there is a tamer card in the Digimon's traits that this is going into, it digivolves for a cost of 1 instead of 3, which is fantastic. And then when digivolving, if there's a card with hybrid in its traits, we recover 1 into our security stack from our deck. Always great to help build that up. Now, this is where the deck starts to get a little fun. We got 2 Rise Greymon here, the yellow Rise Greymon. So when Digivolving, you may play 1 yellow Tamer card from your hand without paying its memory cost, but you negate any on-play effects from the Tamer. That is usually used to burst out a TK without like wanting to remove something from your security stack or just get a free Tamer, essentially. The other big thing here is the inheritable. So when it is a level 6 or higher, your turn, while you have 3 or more yellow Tamers in play, this Digimon gains security attack +1. Using this to help put on some more pressure onto the opponent is always fantastic. Next one is a Tecton 1 of. I wanted to run 3 of these, but I do not have them, unfortunately. It's the Red Rise Greymon. So your turn, this Digimon is also treated as yellow. Main Digiburst 2, which is you trash 2 of this Digimon's Digivolution cards to activate the effect, which is you may play a red or yellow Tamer with a play cost of 4 or less from your hand without paying its memory cost. This one, the big thing is it essentially does the same thing as the Rise or the other Rise Gray, except you do get the on play, which if you have or playing like a Zoe or a TK can be super useful. The inherited, when attacking, if you have a Tamer and play 1 of your opponent's Digimon, gets -2k DP for the turn. That helps you lower your opponent's Digimon, either to kill them or to let your Digimon kill it. Next up, we have War Greymon. This is honestly probably my favorite card in the deck. It's a 3-cost Digivolution, but when attacking once per turn, you may add the top card of your security stack to your hand to unsuspend this Digimon and have 1 of your opponent's Digimon get -6k DP for the turn. So my favorite combo is this Rise Gray with the War Gray. So you swing, return 1 to your hand, get 2 checks, unsuspend, and you get to swing again. So you get 4 checks right away, very easy with the Rise Gray War Gray combo, assuming you have your 3 yellow Tamers, but in this deck that's super simple. Next up, we have a single Shine Gray. I was running more of those. I have not really been using them too much, so we dropped it a little down to 1. But it does come with some good board clear. So when Digivolving, suspend all of your yellow Tamers, and for each Tamer you suspend this way, you activate the following effect, which is 1 of your opponent's Digimon gets -4000 DP for the turn. That is especially late game if I have like 10 Tamers, which is very possible. I go into Shine Gray and you just end up clearing the entire board, which is always a great thing. And then your turn, this Digimon gets +1000 DP for each Tamer you have in play, so he then gets a bunch of attack points. Next up is the key to beating Blue, Dynasmon. So when Digivolving, you may trash the top card of your security stack to reveal the top 6 cards of your deck, add up to 2 level 6 or lower Digimon cards among them to your hand, and trash the remaining cards. That's super useful if I have some extra memory and like, hey, I need a level 4 to help win the game. Like right now, I can do that and mill through my deck a little bit. And then all turns, once per turn, when a card is removed from your security stack, if you have 3 or fewer security cards, trigger recovery +1. So that really helps sustain the survivability of the security stack and not let the opponent mill out of them too quickly, which is always fantastic. Next up, we have the BT1 Serapimon. When Digivolving, trigger recovery +1. Pretty simple. And then my turn, while you have 3 or more security cards, this Digimon gains security attack +1. So essentially it is a lower DP for a level 6, only 10k, but with this format there are so many hybrids and like low levels and Tamers, it's not really that big of a deal. So essentially the idea is you're trying to get these out and get it helps you so you don't have to have as many Digimon, so you can swing per game quicker because you get the security attack +1. But it's just trying to help put additional pressure on the opponent. Now, the scariest thing in this deck is Suzanumon. So this has a lot going on. A couple important things here is this is currently the only card in the game that can digivolve onto anything. It doesn't matter, or any level 6, doesn't matter what color it is. Normally you have to abide by the color restrictions, but Susanoo does not. Its effect is you may digivolve this card from your hand onto one of your tamers as if the tamer is a level 6 Digimon by placing 10 tamer cards and or cards with hybrid in their traits from your hand and or trash to the bottom of your deck in any order. So that does a handful of things where, one, you are going directly from a tamer into the Digimon, especially if you have a couple Bokomons, that reduces the memory cost then sometimes pretty significantly. And then typically this is like a last resort. So you're doing this when you're trying to finish the game and change like the state of the game very quickly. So that takes 10 cards, goes back to the bottom of your deck in whatever order you choose from. But that helps you sustain and not mill out as quickly, which this deck can do, but Susanoo helps prevent that. It gets security attack +2 to put that extra pressure on doing 3 checks at a time. And then when digivolving, you delete one of your opponent's Digimon. That is a busted when digivolving effect, especially if they have like if you're going up against something or a deck that has like one big monster out, like Black X antibody will have Doragoromon. Going right into this, you kill a Doragoromon and they're kind of just SOL at that point. So that is it for all of the Digimon. So we're going to get into some of the tamers. So first up is Zoe, super important card. So security effect, as with all tamers, if you hit this in security, you can play this card without paying its memory cost. Zoe here on play, you may set your security stack for 1 card with hybrid or 10 warriors in its traits, reveal it, and add it to your hand. If you added a card to your hand, recover +1, then shuffle your security stack. So you play the Zoe, whether from your security or from your hand, you search your security stack, you can add one of the Zephyrmon, Kazemon, or Jet Stealthymon to your hand and recover 1 from your deck, so you can play it and immediately have something to go into with it. The Digivolve. On the Inherited is opponent's turn, all of your security Digimon get +3 KDP. So part of what this deck is trying to do is build up your attack points. So even something like the Gazimon at only 2k, you end up having like 2 Zoes and you had 2 Zephyrmons, you get +12,000. So even seeing that Gazimon in your security is actually 14,000 and very scary for most decks. Next up is TK. We do have the 3 regular TKs and we have the 1 tournament pack TK. Same card, just a little different coloring and art. Start of your turn, if you have 2 or less memories, set your memory to 3. Memory tamers are amazing and help make it so that your opponent can't choke you. No deck, I don't think any single deck should not run memory tamers, at least 4 of. On play, you look at your security stack, then reveal 1 card in it and add it to your hand. If that card is yellow, trigger recovery +1, then shuffle your security stack. Super good early game, because you can look at your stack, or your security, say, oh hey, there's a Susanoo in there. I don't want that in there, I need that in my hand for later. Pull it out. Or you can just be like, oh hey, there's some yellow, I'll take that yellow, recover, be it the same as when I played it. Super great card. Security effect is play this card without paying its memory cost. Pretty straightforward. Now this is the card that can really change games. TK and Kari. So at the start of your turn, if you have fewer security than your opponent, you gain 2 memory. I mean, you can only go up to 10, so even just stacking 2 of these plus a TK, you're going up to a minimum 7, which just about anything in this deck can be played for 7 or memory, or 7 or less. Super fantastic. It does hurt having to hard play them. Seeing them in your hand is not great. You do want to see them in your security more often than not, but it happens. Then the other effect is your turn. When one of your yellow Digimon attacks, you may suspend this tamer to have one of your opponent's Digimon get minus 1000 DP for the turn. That's super good to either clear some little Digimon or reduce, like if I have a Serafimon using this to drop their Serafimon or their Wargreymon or their Jesmon down to under what my Digimon can hit for. Super nice to help me get that clear. Next is a card that I wish I had more of. I unfortunately do not. It is the Purple Kari. So this card is when a card is removed from your security stack, you may suspend this tamer to gain 1 memory. You couple that with TK, you couple that with Blinding Ray, you couple that with the Wargreymon, and all of them let you do some fun memory effects. This also has played this card without playing its memory cost out of security. Next up is some board clear. Schwartz. I don't know how to say the rest of it, but the main effect is for each Digimon with hybrid in its traits and each tamer you have in play, delete one of your opponent's level 5 or lower Digimon. Security activate this card's main effect. So essentially, what happens is if I have like 3 tamers, 2 hybrids and a tamer, or whatever like the amount happens to be. And this is super useful against blue, where they're not really going in anything big, but just overwhelming you. They swing into your security, especially hit one of these, and you just delete a handful of theirs for free. Super useful. You can hard play it for 6 if you need to. It's not really necessary. I guess it depends on the board state. But that is your clear. Next up is Reinforcing Memory Boost. This is also a really good card, but typically you do really want to see it either after you have like 3 TK Karis out, so you're starting with a ton of memory, or you have, or it comes out of security. So the main is reveal the top 2 cards of your deck. Place one of them on top of your security stack face down, add the remaining card to your hand, then place this card in your battle area. And then main delay, so not the turn that you play this, but the turn or the next turn, you can delete this card to gain 3 memory. Securities place this card in its owner's battle area. If it comes out of security, it's just free memory. Otherwise, it helps you with a little bit of draw power and security control. However, the issue I have is that it being a 6 cost is very tough. You don't ever really want to hard play that. And if you have like your 2 TK or 2 TK Karis even, and you're playing it, you really don't need the memory that bad anyways. Next up is Fly Bullet. So if you have a Digimon with 3 Musketeers in its type in play, you may use this option card without meeting its color requirements. I do not run any 3 Musketeers, but I do run some purple. The main is delete one of your opponent's level 6 or lower Digimon. That is really good for things like Jesmon, Dorgormon, really anything that gains DP during its attack, or like Mech or Machine Dramon that can't be deleted by lowering DP. It just flat out deletes it. Super useful. Teched it in as a one of for those matchups, as it does pretty much the same thing as our next and final card, which is 2 of Wyvern's Breath. Main, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 15,000 DP for the turn. Pretty straightforward. If you drop these DP to 0 or below 0, they can't do anything because they're dead. It's great card, absolutely fantastic. This is arguably one of the top overall decks right now, with my own little twist on things. And we are hoping to bring home a win on Sunday at the Ultimate Cup.